And good morning is 7:04 on this Thursday, January 16th. It's time to head to Studio B for Coleman and Company.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. Here we are on a Thursday morning. It's been clear overnight and some frost out there, but it's clouding up and probably going to warm up. That'll be welcome. We are glad to have you with us, and of course, we're happy to be on the air for Bates Ford, 1780 Franklin Road, the dealer that'll trade for anything you don't eat. And we're glad to have Paul Tubbs back this morning. Paul, good morning.
Good morning.
And I understand you've got a different title now that we want to tell everybody about. At Bates Ford, you're now the dealer operations manager.
That is correct. I'm in charge of all the operations, so I get all the headaches.
Is it much different from what you've been doing, really?
No, it's just that back end of that dealership is so big and you got so much there. And Tony felt like it was a good idea for us to kind of separate sales and service. So I'm going to kind of concentrate more on the back end because you got 40 bays, you got a huge service department, you got parts, and that's kind of where I've always been, is in the back end. And then, of course, with as much inventory and vehicles as we've got to kind of get more going towards sales. We've had really good, sales months and done that, but we're still trying to reach for the stars. So we're going to try to, I kind of been spread real thin, trying to deal with everything, which it's welcome to me that I don't have to deal with as much. I got somebody that's going to be over sales, and then I'm going to be over the back end, and that kind of works better for everybody.
And Ronnie Kelly is with us this morning, still in sales and been there for 38 years.
Yes, sir. And everything's going good so far. We do have a lot of great vehicles on our lot, pre-owned vehicles, and we have new vehicles. We got a lot of incentives on our vehicles, and all we need to do is have someone to come in and talk to some of our friendly sales staff, and they'll tell us all about the program that we have. We got many different programs.
Somebody told me that since you've been there for 38 years, you've made so many friends that the friends keep you busy and you don't have much time for new people.
Yeah, the friends do keep me busy, but I like the new people coming in also.
Well, Paul, no doubt, you and Ronnie have been there together for a long time and are a good team, even though he's in sales and you're in more of the other things.
Yeah, we're still all one team, and I'm still involved. I have a lot of friends that buy vehicles from me. I have a lot of customers that come in and stuff. It's just when you got so much with that big facility that you've got to deal with as far as the back end of it. And, the service is the day-to-day. You have more traffic, more people. So I'm concentrating kind of more on that aspect of the business. Of course, that's where I've always been. I started I started driving a parts vehicle, I started sweeping floors. Then I got into driving a parts truck, and then I got into parts, stocking. Then I was a parts counter person, then I was a parts manager, then I was service. So everything I've ever done really at the dealership, and my expertise is actually the back end, which is more comfortable for me and stuff. And with where we're trying to go in the front end, we need somebody that can concentrate on that full time, so it's going to work out a lot better for everybody.
Well, what kind of deals you got today, Ronnie?
We got some great deals on, like our F-150s. We got them all over the lot. And the great thing about those F-150s, we got some great deals on them right now. You got about $3,000-$4,000 savings. That's off of MSRP. So one good thing about that is when you save $3,000 or $4,000, then you got rebates. Then you have incentives. You got interest rates. That's great. So that's the great thing about we got interest rate better than the banks. Yeah. So you need to come down and check out our vehicles.
Well, I know that Paul wants to talk about oil changes, tires, batteries, and that nice pickup and delivery service that you have.
Yeah, we got a lot of friends and stuff that's doing the pickup and delivery. It actually works very well. I get a lot of calls actually personally on my cell phone of people, hey, can you get them to come get my car? I'm like, okay, let me get Shelly to call you. So, we do 6 or 7 a day where we'll go get your vehicle, pick it up, service it, bring it back to you. You can pay over the phone. It's a really good service. As far as oil changes, we do the 5-quart oil change, $39.95 up to 5 quarts. Of course, that's not a full synthetic. It's just a blended synthetic. Our Works program's $59.95 up to 5 quarts. That's an oil change and a tire rotation. Of course, we're selling tires, a lot of tires. A lot of tires got a $100 rebate. We got tires anytime you buy them from Bates Ford, you get free lifetime rotation. Our batteries, now the one thing about batteries is batteries, kind of like everything else, has gone up. Now we're having to do batteries for $199.95. We install them free on most vehicles. Those batteries come with a free lifetime. A free 3-year warranty, and then they got a 100-month proration. But batteries is kind of like everything else. The price of batteries have gone up. We used to sell them. We started at $149, $159, and they went to $179, and then just here within the last week, Ford's raised the price again on us. So they are $199.95.
But that's 5 cents less than $200 plus tax.
Yeah, I got a lot of people that tells me a lot of times they'll go to the parts houses or something, have one put in. They're $240, $250. So we're still cheaper than any of our competition.
You've had really a great deal on batteries and tires for a long time.
Yeah, we do a ton of tires. We have a lot of people call because we'll meet or beat anybody's price. Plus, we give you lifetime rotation. Plus, Ford offers the rebates on the tires, and a lot of them right now has got $100 rebates. And then, of course, the batteries. Generally we put them in for free on most vehicles, and $199.95 is probably the cheapest battery in town.
All right. Well, thank you all for being with us today. We've come to the end of our time, but glad you're back with us. You missed a couple of weeks being under the weather.
Yeah, I had to crud a little bit. It wasn't very fun, so I don't wish that on anyone.
Well, good to have you back, Ronnie. I always appreciate you as well.
Thank you.
Y'all take care.
Thank you.
Ronnie Kelly, Paul Tubbs, Bates Ford, 1780 Franklin Road. Again, the dealer to trade for anything it don't eat. All right, this is the Thursday that Jeff Baines sends me a guest, and that is kind of the way that it works. Every once in a great while, Jeff will show up, but most of the time it's somebody that he works with at the City of Lebanon that actually is under his direction. And I don't know whether that's true this morning or not, but we do have Paul Corder with us this morning, who is the city planner, I understand. Good morning.
Morning. How are you?
All right. Do you consider Jeff your boss, Jeff Baines?
Jeff is my boss.
All right.
I report directly to Jeff.
So when he said be on the radio, yes, sir.
That's right. That's right. He asked me what I was doing this morning, and I said, I don't know. And he's like, well, I got something for you.
Well, it's been a while since we've talked to you, and it's good to see you again. You've been with the city for quite some time.
Yes. It's been 12 years. 2012, so going on 13 years.
Yeah. What as the city planner, what mainly are you responsible for, and what do you do most of the time?
Well, I meet with people, citizens. I meet with developers. I meet with elected officials, planning commissioners, appointed officials. But what we do, we handle all the zoning in the city, making reports to the Planning Commission. Any new commercial or multifamily residential that comes in the city, we review those plans. We're writing code. Anytime somebody wants to subdivide a property, that comes through our office. So we handle all those things.
You have a job somewhat similar, maybe to what was it? The county planner,
Tom Brashear, and now it's Chris Lawless. Tom moved on.
Right.
But yes.
But it's similar to what he, especially when he was just the county planner.
Yep.
Your job very similar to what he was doing then.
We were counterparts. Yep.
And I guess Watertown's not big enough to have a planner.
No,
that all is headed up by Mike Jennings, I guess.
Yeah.
And what about Mount Juliet?
Mount Juliet's there's Jennifer Hamlin. She's technically, I think, the development services, although that's what Tom Brashear's title was as well. So she's a development services director, so they do a good job over there.
Well, what is there something pretty heavy on your plate right now, so to speak, that you're really working on?
Yeah, there's two things. There's two things. We've got a rewrite of the zoning code that's going to the Planning Commission. We're just doing work sessions, no voting on it yet. We're going to bring that to the public and have a comment section. But one that's further along is the historic preservation guidelines. Now, we've had guidelines for the historic preservation district, but they were hard to use. You almost had to read the whole thing before you could find what you wanted. So we're updating it, making it more user-friendly, adding some things about signs and a few different things to help. But mostly we just wanted to make it easier to use and make it so that our staff reports are good. That's going to City Council on Tuesday night. So that's already been through historic preservation. That's going through City Council. So that's coming up. But the bigger one is the full rewrite of the zoning code for the whole city. That'll be a bigger project.
All right, Paul Corder, my guest. It's time for us to take a break here on Coleman and Company, FM 98.9.
Let's see what's happening on the roadways. It's all brought to you by our friends at Absolute Kubota. They have a deal designed to keep you ahead of schedule. Check out the #1 selling compact excavator plus 0% financing going on now until the end of the year. Absolute Kubota, 1506 West Main. Now with traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. Still some volume trying to sneak up through the area here on the interstate on 24 westbound at Bell Road. All that traffic just trying to get in right now from Murfreesboro, Rutherford County through here, headed towards Bell Road. Traffic's already crowded 65 south at Trinity Lane. It continues to build through Hermitage, Donaldson right now with that volume. You got all that traffic behind it there being pushed in from Wilson County on 40 West, working your way towards Donaldson Pike. Hey, Prince's Hot Chicken has karaoke every Thursday night at the Tanger location. Check out that menu while you're on their website at princeshotchicken.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
What is your passion? How can you use that passion to enrich your community? Hi, this is Melanie Minter, President and CEO of the Lebanon-Wilson County Chamber of Commerce. Your chamber is the resource for making connections to fulfill your passion. Whether education, nonprofit, agriculture, entertainment, or government relations, Wilson County offers a place for you to be involved. Your chamber connects businesses, individuals, and your passion to the community. We have an enthusiasm for excellence. Join us and catch the spirit. Call or visit our office at 149 Public Square in Lebanon.
Coleman and Company, thanks for joining us here on this Thursday. Again, our program featuring the City of Lebanon and Mr. Paul Corder, our city planner. But, Paul, let me just remind everybody, lest I forget, before I get back to you here, that the Wilson County Black Committee will celebrate the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King this coming Monday, January 20th, at Historic Pickett Chapel, 209 East Market Street. This will be a 3-hour event from 12 noon to 3 p.m. Celebration will include guest speakers, Mrs. Andrea Word, special presentation civil rights, Tabitha Neal. It'll feature poetry, music, and light refreshments. And if you want more information, call 615-444-9487. All right. I don't know whether you're a part of this or not. Hadn't the mayor got an open house this afternoon?
Yeah, there was an open house. I'll be there for part of it. He's really done a good job of reaching out to the public and providing opportunities for people to come and see what's going on.
Well, he can say, if you didn't come, I provided the opportunity for you to come here and have dialogue.
That's right.
Find out what's going on and enjoy some, light refreshments maybe?
Yeah, and it's at the Mitchell House. It's a nice building to look around if you've never been there. It's good just to go see the inside of that building and what's been done with it.
Is it 3 to 5? I'm thinking.
Yeah, it's around that time.
I don't have my notes in front of me, but anyway, this afternoon. So,
yeah, if you come at 3, you'll be in the middle of it.
All right. Well, we were talking about these things you're working on here, and some of this is pretty important. This rewrite you're talking about, I guess to get it more down to an exact science.
Yeah, we've really been prioritizing making it easier for people to use. Right now, if you have a piece of property and you're zoned a certain way, we give you a sheet that says this is what your setbacks are, this is how big your lot needs to be, these are the uses that are allowed. But there's a whole nother section that tells you, what the design standards are, what the landscaping standards are, sidewalk standards, all that stuff. completely another section. So we're going to combine those so that it's easier for people to use. If you come and look for your property, your zoning district, it's all going to be all in one spot. And so what it does is it makes the document bigger, but it's going to make it easier to use. So that was a big part of it. There's some other things that we have to address as well in there, and we can talk about those. But, one of the big pushes was to make this as easy for the public to use as we could.
I'm wondering, and I'm just asking here, kind of off the top of my head. Sometimes regulations, rules, the way you operate can be complex, let's say. Sometimes people don't understand, and then when they do get the idea, they don't like it and think it ought to be different or easier or whatever. How do you address that?
Well, I try to have a reason why we do what we do. Sometimes it's based on experience, on practice. Sometimes it's based on, we've had a request from a citizen to do it this way, and there's multiple ways of doing something, so we're just doing it that way because it works better. But zoning and planning for a city, it is complex. It's not like chemistry. We've tried to do that where we separate things out all the time, but it's really more like biology. You really have to just experiment, and it's a living, more of a living organization or an organism. The city is. There's the example of if you want to understand biology really well and you categorize it, everybody knows the butterflies where you pin them up on the thing. Well, if you categorize them too much, you're going to kill the whole thing. So there's definitely a lot of complexity. We think it's a complex. It's not like chemistry.
Well, how much do you pay attention to other cities, and especially cities of our size, and maybe with very similar challenges? Do you work together with others on things like that?
Yeah, almost once a month I'm meeting with the other planners, other peers in Nashville. There's a meeting that I go to every month, and we talk about different things. That one's mostly about transportation, but I get to talk and hear about it. You mentioned Tom Brashear. We talked all the time about how to do things. We go to conferences, but I also expand. Tennessee is got some good planners, but you have to go outside of that. I'm looking best practices worldwide. I'm looking best practices in the United States and other places. Just getting as many ideas as I can. I started out in small towns. I grew up in small towns. That's what I do. And one of the things I hear from people all the time is we want Lebanon to have the small town feel. And so I know what that means. I know
that's a challenge in itself.
It is a challenge in itself. I know what it means. I've lived it. I know exactly what a small town feel is. And we do a lot of things to try to preserve that. And fortunately, the small town feel, there are parts, even if you go to Nashville, there's parts of Nashville that feel like a small town. You can get it. It can happen no matter what size the city is, but you have to be careful about it.
Yeah. How different or how much alike are we with cities in Middle Tennessee of similar size?
Yeah, I would say Gallatin, even Murfreesboro, Franklin, we're fairly similar to them. When you get into Mount Juliet, Hendersonville, Brentwood, they're kind of the inner ring. And they're a little bit different than we are. There's just a different dynamic there. There's more dependence on Nashville. Not that we don't have dependence on Nashville. We do. I think we have our own economy, so that's good. And that's more similar to Gallatin and Murfreesboro and Franklin and those types of places.
Dixon figure into it?
Yeah. Dixon, one of the things that this new zoning code we want to do is make it easier to expand the downtown, the character of the downtown downtown. If you go to Dixon, they're smaller than us, but they've got a bigger downtown than we do. We think that our downtown is small for our population. So, there's some of that effort in this new zoning code rewrite that we think we can extend that character outside of just the square.
Well, just sitting here and thinking that you've been here 10, 11 years, whatever, you've seen quite a bit of change in the time that you've been here in Lebanon.
Oh, yeah. It's, the
growth, the population is probably doubled in that time.
But it's gone from 26,000 to about 48, somewhere in there. Obviously, I'm just estimating at this point, but so it's not quite doubled, but it's pretty close. It's just a few thousand people away from doubling, and it may be there by now.
Yeah. Do you consider how much change in the next 10 years? Will it be as much as been the last 10?
It's hard to say. We are in a boom cycle right now. It's the thing that I'm always cautious about in the boom is that you can make a lot of mistakes and you don't see them right away. We're going to see, if we made mistakes, we're going to see them about 70 years from now. But between now and 70 years, we'll see how it goes. The challenging thing right now with the population in the country, several years ago, I was talking to somebody in Nashville and about, are we going to become like Atlanta? And they said, no, we'll never be the size of Atlanta. Nashville won't, because the birth rate is down. And at that time, immigration was down. I think this was in the previous Trump administration. Immigration was down. So the only way we were growing was at the expense of other cities. And that's just really hard to predict. You've got wildfires in California. We've got a lot of people coming in from there. Is that going to make more people come here? I don't know. But how long is that going to last? And how long are people going to stay here and not migrate somewhere else inside this? So that's really hard to predict. That's just, birth rates are pretty easy to get, but not migration.
Yeah, and another thing, the way that people want to live, and I'm talking about their dwellings for the most part, seems like that has changed. Rather than having a ranch-style house that spreads out a little bit and a big yard to mow, the younger people are satisfied in a condo or apartment or something, which has changed a lot.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of things that have changed in what the housing market, what people want in a house. I'm not convinced that we're actually meeting what people want. I have a little bit of concern about, just the kind of the Wall Street people dictating what products we get and not necessarily paying attention to what the local folks want in housing. So that's something I'm mindful of. I don't know how much I can do anything about it, but one thing I'd say is we need to get some local people and who will develop land and do some, it's really about the work of the people. Lebanon's going to be as good as the people in Lebanon work for it. So we as people in Lebanon have to work for what we want.
And you do have You do have the people in place. You have you're a planner. You have people have to come and get approval, and the city council has the last word. So there is a process to go through. Do you see that change? Does it need to be changed? Is it pretty much like it ought to be?
There's some things that we're thinking about changing. One of the proposals, I don't know if it'll get through, is to have a design review committee for the city. So that's a possibility. The process is definitely a thing that our city doesn't benefit from somebody else being delayed, and the developer doesn't benefit. Like a long delay doesn't really benefit anybody. I mean, if they're allowed to do it and they're just sitting around doing nothing because there's a bureaucratic process in the way, that doesn't benefit anybody. So that's definitely something we're always looking at to see, see how we can make it better.
We've got about a minute left here. Are you a one-person operation? How many? You have a staff of people? We haven't talked about that.
Yeah. In the planning, as far as planners go, we've got 3 of us up there, and then Kathleen does a great job with, taking care of us. She's the admin. We've got one sign code administrator, and we've got a zoning code administrator, and then also the building inspections. They fall under me, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4. seven or eight in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what, you got 10, 12 people that work with you?
Yeah. And of course, building inspection, Danny Raines, he handles most of that. He does a great job. Yeah. Keeps things out of my hair if he can. So,
well, Paul, good to see you today. We thank Jeff Baines for sending you out, and we'll do it again next time, whenever that is. Thank you very much.
All right. Sounds good.
Paul Corder, our city planner, and that's part 1 of Coleman & Company. We've got more. Please keep it right here, FM 98.9.
Let's see what's happening on the roadways. It's all brought to you by Bates Ford. Get a battery installed in most vehicles. $199.95. Bates Ford, 1780 Franklin Road. Now at traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. It's been pretty active this morning already coming up through the Antioch area with a couple of earlier accidents. Most have been moved over to the side, but it's busy now in from Murfreesboro and Rutherford County up through Antioch on 24 going westbound. It's also picked up over here with more volume coming in from Mount Juliet area, leaving Wilson County into Hermitage on 40 going westbound all the way up past Stewart's Ferry Pike. Hey, Princess Hot Chicken has karaoke every Thursday night. That's tonight at the Tanger location. Check out that menu while you're on their website at princesshotchicken.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
And now, a moment of silence to remember our dear friend.
Sorry. Oh, man. Life can be uncomfortable. Your home doesn't have to be. With a wide range of air conditioners, furnaces, and heat pumps, Rheem makes it easy to feel comfortable, even when you can't be comfortable.
Financing available through TVA's Energy Right program and your local power company. Call Randy's Heat and Air 237-3604.
Hey, this is Paul with Bates Ford. Have I got some exciting news for you? Bates Ford's moved into our new location at 1780 Franklin Road. That's right, Bates Ford's at 1780 Franklin Road, just off Hartman Drive and Interstate 40. We've got a much larger selection of vehicles to choose from, a state-of-the-art double-sized service department. So come see us at 1780 Franklin Road. That's Bates Ford, 615-444-8221. Bates Ford, a dealer will trade for anything that don't eat.
We'll have partly cloudy skies for today. Highs in the lower 50s. Mostly cloudy for tonight. Lows will be in the mid-20s. And then partly cloudy and warmer for our Friday. Highs may reach 60 degrees. This weather forecast brought to you by Walker Auction and Realty, professional auction and real estate services. Get top dollar for your home, land, or personal property. Log on to MikeWalkerAuctions.com. They know auctions. With your Severe View forecast, I'm Drew Richards.
We welcome you to part 2 of Coleman & Company. It's a Thursday. Thursdays, we talk about A.G. & Johnson Realty and Auction at this time, and we want to welcome Jay White back this morning. Jay, good morning to you.
Good morning, Cole.
We'll tell you that A.G. & Johnson Realty and Auction is located at 728 West Main in Lebanon, community trusted since 1977, and that phone number is 615-444-0909. Helene Cash is with us as well this morning. You've been here the last 2 times, last time anyway.
Last few times.
And we did have an interesting thing that happened. You had an auction scheduled last week, and we announced last Thursday the auction is on, even though the weather forecast was calling for the snow. And right as we went off the air Friday morning, you sent word that, well, we have had to cancel after all, Jay.
We did. Unfortunately, the weather wasn't conducive to where we could get out there and have a sale last Saturday. So we at the last minute, we decided after the snow had fallen.
But you held out as long as you could.
We really did. You never know when the snow, when and if you're going to get as much snow as they call for. But anyway, they were right this time, as they usually are. But we hated we couldn't have it. But we have rescheduled that sale for February the 8th. So if you were planning on coming out and attending that sale last Saturday, the one that we did postpone. We've got it rescheduled for February the 8th. We're hoping that the weather will be a little more pleasant, a little better for us. So,
well, now the rumor was going around the station here that was only the second time that A.G. & Johnson's ever had to postpone an auction like that.
That's the second one that we postponed, and the other one we postponed was for the same reason. It came one of those good January snows, and I think it came in February that year though. But I mean, we got pounded by a good snowstorm, so we just decided that we keep everybody safe and not have it last Saturday. But we're hoping for better weather on February the 8th, so everybody come out and be with us.
Another one to talk about.
And we do on February the 1st. I guess 2 weeks from Saturday, or 2 weeks from this coming Saturday, we will be down in Mount Juliet selling a little 3-bedroom, 2.5 house down in Mount Juliet on Lookout Drive. A nice little brick house down there. Just needs a small amount of attention to move right in. If you're interested in, a smaller home, 1,200 square feet, 3-bedroom, 2-bath home down on the west side. I mean, you've got, your Green Hills High School, Mount Juliet Elementary School, just right on the Wilson-Davison County line down there. So just a great opportunity to buy a nice little house down there. So if you're interested in something like that, drive down to the west side and you can, it's vacant. Give us a call. We'd be glad to show it to you. If you want to get inside.
I mean, that's 2 weeks from Saturday.
Yeah, it's 2 weeks from Saturday, February the 1st.
We got a little more time to talk.
We got a little more time to talk, but we do that. We've got that, but the sale that we postponed for February the 8th, it's the one with all the machinery, with all the tractors and the bobcats, and it's got something for everybody if they like to get outside and work and have a small farm. It's just be a great day out there on February the 8th.
Yeah. Well, now, Helene said that this was your show today since she's been here the last time or two. But we can use a minute or so to talk about if you're wanting to have an auction, if you're thinking about having one.
Absolutely.
Plan ahead.
We need to plan ahead. I mean, now's the perfect time. If you're thinking about maybe selling in the spring, come in, give us a call. We'd be glad to come out and talk with you about it. I mean, it's like we always say, these things, you can't do them overnight. It takes some preparation and time to get them ready and get the advertising out. So if you're looking at maybe selling in the spring or the fall or the summer of 2025, give us a call. We need to start the work.
You probably can't go too early. I mean, you might have to wait a while if you go now and want to have it much later. But it's a lot better to be early than it is to try to do it at the last minute, because you could almost ask for an impossible situation. You've got to have enough time because you want to do it right.
Absolutely, it takes time to get things through all the different channels and with the state and the county. To if you're doing division on property, and also if you're just selling farm machinery and tools of that sort of nature. These advertisements in places where we put them. There's deadlines that are a month. You've got to be a month to 2 months out sometimes to get them put a place where you need to put them.
Well, Helene, you are involved greatly in the whole operation at A.G. & Johnson, and you're learning auctions, but the other part you probably know a little better.
Well, I like to think I'm learning a lot, and I'm going to stay home. We're tired of hearing me talk about farm equipment because, I just read. Jay knows a whole lot more about it. But today I want to talk about a new construction home in Hartsville.
All right.
We have a lovely new 3-bedroom, 2-bath home, 3-bedroom, 2.5-bath home in Hartsville that just came on the market. But we also have plenty of other homes that are for sale, or if you're thinking about selling your home, if you want to upsize or downsize, if you're looking for something new, you can give us a call at 615-444-0909. We have something for you, or we can help you find that dream home of yours. We have an agent for you, but we have lots of opportunity for you.
Well, you if you want more information, maybe you're not that familiar with A.G. & Johnson. If you've moved in here recently and wondering which real estate agent to deal with, go to their website, www.agandjohnson.com. Got a lot of information there, right?
Absolutely. That's the wealth of knowledge for you. You can tool around the website. It's easy to navigate. All the information is there, but you can give us a call. We can set up an appointment with an agent. You can come in and talk to us. Or we can come out and visit you, and we can talk about auctions or traditional real estate.
All right. Well, y'all have a good one. Stay warm, stay safe. We'll see you next Thursday.
All right. Thanks, Coleman.
Thank you, Coleman.
Jay White, Helene Cash with A.G. and Johnson Realty and Auction, 728 West Main. Right now, we're 21 minutes before the hour, and I want to welcome my guest this morning, Tim Leeper, with Tim Leeper Roofing and Mama's Metal Roofing, and he's here to be my guest and talk about probably a lot of different things this morning. One of the things. Good morning.
Good morning.
One of the things I could mention, I noticed I get an email about Cincinnati Reds just about every day, sometimes 2 or 3, and it's not too long before the pitchers and catchers will report for spring training. And been a little dealing going on during the winter, and I think the best thing the Reds have done is to get them a new manager, and I'm looking for great things this year.
Well, good. You're my scout because I didn't even know we had a new manager, but that's good. You know, and we joked that there are 5 people in this town that like Cincinnati Reds, and we're 2 of them. Jeff Luttrell's another, but I met another one. It's a guy who's pastor of a local church. He lives in Hartsville, but he actually pastors a church here, so we will take him. He is our 6th member. His name is John Schombarger. Used to be a chaplain up there at Trousdale, but he's a great guy, and he's from Cincinnati. So I've met our 6th guy, and I'm going to have to sign him up pretty soon.
Well, we're gonna have to keep adding to the list, perhaps, but sometimes I think they've got to get better. They can't get any worse. That's not exactly true. I honestly believe, and I don't dwell on this too long today, but thinking of baseball makes me think of warmer weather, and I love the warmer weather, to say the least. The fact that we got a new manager and maybe a little bit new direction and more accountability from the players, and we'll see.
We'll see. I kind of hear recently equate being a Reds fan to being a Titans fan, because I feel like that they have the team and use it as an ATM machine, but they just don't want to put a lot of money back into it. And so we'll see what happens. They've not had a good successful run on personnel over the last few years, but like you said, it can't get much worse.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about what you've been doing with the snow on the ground when it comes to roofing. I guess that doesn't mean that you're immune from calls, or people are immune from problems.
Well, we get a few calls in the snow. A lot of times we don't get a lot unless they have some real problems. We didn't have a whole lot of calls out of the snow. No ice dams, that happened with that. It got cold, but it just got cold enough to keep the snow for a few days, and then it was starting to melt away pretty quick. So it really didn't affect us that much. But what it really does do is it makes it aware. At times, some of these snows will make it aware that you have bigger issues, and you'll start to see on the ceiling some brown or dark spots. So, now's honestly a good time to go around the house and just take a look. If you see anything that you've got discolored, or it looks like it may be water, you may want to have it checked out. You want to do it sooner rather than later, because come March, everything is busy. Honestly, February is a great month to get things done on your roof.
You do roof repair, and sometimes roof repair means total new construction, I guess. But there are times, and you have mentioned this, and the fact that there are just lots of times that a little repair job or a little maintenance job can continue the life of a roof, maybe 3 or 4 years, and save people money.
I would tell you that most of the time people think they need a roof. More times than not, I can save them some time on that roof by doing some maintenance. Sometimes it's pretty intense maintenance, but nevertheless, I always tell people, if your maintenance is 25% or less than the cost of that new roof, you at least would want to consider it. Anything more than 25%. So basically, if a repair would cost more than a quarter of what a new roof cost, then you got to really consider, hey, what's my real plan? But some people, they have to get to a certain benchmark. Hey, I've got to be here until next March. Our family's moving to Kansas City, and when we move, I'd rather not put a new roof on it if I don't have to. So in those cases, we can go in and we can replace the boots, fix any kind of nail punctures that have come up through the shingles, maybe some flashing around a chimney or a wall. and buy them, 3 to 5 years. That's typically what I say is a lot of times if they're older, I can buy them 3 to 5 years unless they're completely gone and there's no granule left on the roof.
I guess most people who've had a shingle roof are familiar with some of the problems that they encounter if they've had it very long. But metal roofing, the problems that come along are probably a little bit different. What do you repair, or do you have as many problems even with a metal roof?
They're a lot less. On metal roofs, the things that we see a lot of times is screws will begin to back out. A lot of that's because they were screwed directly into a plywood versus having the wood lath strip. We also see transition metal. So if you have a lower pitch going to a steeper pitch, sometimes they will not put any transition metal or transition flashing in there at all, and it will leak. That's really the number 2 thing that we see. They don't do that correctly. And if they do it, you have maybe some older foam closures that have gone bad. So there's always a thing that can be fixed on metal roofs, but it's a lot less than what you have with the shingle roof. A shingle roof has a small neoprene gasket around every pipe flashing, whereas a metal roof has a much thicker rubber that goes around those, and they just don't wear out like the thin neoprene gaskets do. One of those boots is a $5 boot, and one of those is a $25 boot. So, I mean, that, could be the reason why.
Well, I learned something from you every time you're here. I don't retain it all, but...
We'll talk about it again.
I say that to say you have really impressed me with your knowledge of roofing that you are willing to share here. But you can just tell, Tim, listening to you a little bit, you've had so much experience, and I begin to wonder sometimes if there's almost anything pertaining to a roof that you don't know about or haven't had some experience or encounter with.
Well, after 20 years, I need to know some things about roofing. Otherwise, I should have picked a new profession a long time ago. But, a lot of this stuff really is just wash, rinse, and repeat. Wash, rinse, and repeat. You find good practice, and then you repeat the good practice over and over.
Yeah. Tim Laper is with us. We'll talk more after this break here on Coleman & Company, FM 98.9.
Let's see what's happening on the roadways. Thanks to Absolute Kubota, they have a deal designed to keep you ahead of schedule. Check out the world's #1 selling compact excavator with 0% financing going on now until the end of the year. Absolute Kubota, 1506 West Main. Now with traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. Still working with a couple of accidents out here. It continues to build through Kingston Springs right now with that traffic flow on 40 going westbound. As you work your way through Pegram, Kingston Springs. Now, we did have a wreck out there earlier on 40 eastbound near McCrory Lane as that traffic builds in from Dixon County. It's heavy over here now by the airport on 40 westbound at Donaldson Pike through Hermitage. That traffic's building also because all that traffic's being pushed in right now on 40 westbound from Wilson County into Hermitage. Hey, whenever you need a new roof repair, roof inspection, listen, call Independent Roofing Specialist at 991-2358. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Are you thinking about buying a new home? Let A.G. & Johnson assist you with your new home search. From the first-time home buyer to the empty nester, we are experienced in all facets of the home buying process. We will be with you every step of the way. No matter if you are buying, selling, downsizing, or upsizing, we can assist you with your real estate needs. Call us at 615-444-0909 or find us online at agandjohnson.com or Facebook A.G. & Johnson Realty. A.G. & Johnson is your community's trusted realty and auction company.
Thanks for joining us here on a beautiful Thursday morning. And I understand it's going to get a little bit warmer today before it gets colder over the weekend. Temperature in the teens. I think it's Sunday and Monday night. Tim Leeper with us. If you've got a roofing problem, let me give everybody your number here. And you might want to write this down, keep it handy. Tim Leeper Roofing, 615-372-4713, 372-4713. And he'll take care of you, whether it's a shingle roof or a metal roof, and give you good advice. And you've been doing it for 20 years. What else you want to say about roofing?
I've actually been doing it for 30 years.
30 years.
30 years, but 20 years in my own business. You're right. Yep. You're right in that. But, I've been doing it long enough to question myself many times. What day I woke up and thought I wanted to be a roofer that morning of my life, but here we are.
You say that, I believe, a little bit with tongue in cheek, because you have done a good job, and you've got some people who work for you, who depend on you and your business for their livelihood, and I know you've done a good job for a lot of people, although there are, as that old saying is, all rose bushes have thorns. So it's not totally a bed of roses being a roofer, but it's been a good livelihood for you, I think, hasn't it?
It's been a good livelihood, and it's been a good run. And what I mean by that is, I always look for something that I could do that was that I could lay my head down and sleep at night knowing I did an honest day's work and made an honest living at it. And I didn't want to do anything that was immoral. As a believer, I always try to say, hey, I want to at least do something that benefits, people, and not doing anything that hurts them. And roofing's been that for me. I've met a lot of people. I've did a lot of things. I've worked on famous people's houses, and, we've had some good success. Some people we've had to sign NDAs to not talk about, So, but it's been a good ride, and I've met a lot of people along the way. And what I've always tried to do is just make sure, no matter if they were, somebody that lived in a single wide or somebody that lived in Belmead on Belmead Boulevard, that they got treated the same way. That my job when I went in there was to fix their roof leak, and the price was based on how hard the job was. Mm-hmm. And it didn't matter where it was. So you don't get charged more in a certain area for the same job you get charged at, maybe in Watertown, for example.
That reminds me of a very good friend of mine who does some maintenance work. He doesn't do roofing, but he went to pretty nice home here, and told the guy the charge when he got through, and he was kind of surprised. Most people, when they see this house here, the price automatically goes up, and that's what you're talking about.
Sometimes, but I'm speaking more along the level of, how difficult is the job? Do I have to have steeper pitch and more safety equipment? Is it high, way off the ground where it's a little bit more dangerous? And honestly, what kind of people am I dealing with? If I'm dealing with somebody who maybe has some screws loose, I may want to think about what the price is going to be for that, because I might not want that job. Not every customer is the right customer for you.
That's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, we hadn't gone into that chapter yet.
Well, I can say this: you're paying for this time, and I want to talk about whatever you want to talk about. You want to talk more about roofing? You want to change the subject here this morning?
Oh, we can talk. We can talk a little bit. We can save the last 5 minutes for the other if you want to. We can talk a little bit more about roofing. I've got lots to say.
Well, again, it's come down. We hear more about the metal roofing, and you established Mama's Metal Roofing, 2 different companies, and really I think you've said 2 different sets of employees for the most part. One that likes to do shingle roofing, and the other that's more adept to the metal roofing, or you had to find somebody. But anyway, whichever way you go, you can help people, and the same phone number will get you Tim Leeper Roofing or Mama's Metal Roofing.
That's right. And what I try to do is I take the calls and I figure out who is the best solution for them. Mm-hmm. We also do commercial work. We do flat roofs, rubber roofs, TPO, EPDM, PVC even. We have to put PVC roofs on the restaurants because of the animal fats that get on them, and so that's a different roof that has to be put on. And we
know that.
Oh yeah,
never even thought about that.
Sure is.
Huh.
Sure is. And so not every white roof is a TPO roof. Most of them are, but PVC is a little bit more expensive. It has different chemicals in it. It welds differently, and so it reacts differently to the weather, even in some cases. But we just have to know what's the best roof to put on. Sometimes it's a modified bitumen roof, which is a rolled product that has granules in it. It looks like they used to call it roll roofing, right? But roll roofing is something you can buy at Home Depot or Lowe's and you could tear with your fingers. You can't tear modified bitumen because it's meant for commercial and industrial use. So There's a number of things that we can do. The only thing that I don't really fool with is anything with a flame. I don't do kettle work, so the hot tar mops to mop down the plies of felt, we don't do that. We don't do torch down modified bitumen. We could do that, but we don't do that. Our insurance agent doesn't like it when we talk about having open flames on a roof.
Yeah. Well, I keep wondering your source of information. I know a lot of it is experience, but do you read a lot? Do you talk to other people who have done something? How do you learn all of this? I know, again, a lot of it's by experience, but I don't think it all could be.
No, you're right. In 2009, I started a track to really learn as much as I could about the business side of things. I'd already been in business since 2004, but I really wanted to know, so I traveled the country and I met with people who had large companies, and I sat down with them and spent a couple of days, and I'd have lunch with them, and we'd go out to dinner and we'd tour their operation, and then I would go to seminars, in the roofing industry, and I would learn from experts in Pittsburgh and San Francisco and Seattle, Washington and Miami, Florida, and the challenges are different in each of those markets. So you begin to pick up information as you go. Good practices, what will work in your market that might not be applicable in the Miami market or might not be applicable in, say, Houston, Texas. And so as I did that and I met people and I talked with people, I sat down with successful people and just asked them how they did their business. When I first started, I sat down with Jimmy Hiller and I said, Jimmy, would you have lunch with me? I'd just done his roof in Nashville. And he said, what do you want to have lunch with me for? I said, well, I don't know, Jimmy, because you're pretty successful at what you do. This has been 20 years ago. And he said, well, I'll have lunch with you. I don't know what you're going to learn from me. And so it's those kind of people that we saw, and Dave Ramsey was a big influence in my life and financially. And so you just take all the little pieces and components that you pick up along the way and you package them to say, okay, we're going to put this together and treat our customers the very best we can and have the very best business practices, and we're going to learn as we go. And that's what we've done for the last 20 years.
Well, probably you've been able, for some of what you have learned, and especially you're talking maybe the financial thing, to advise people sometimes as to what way they ought to go, how to pay for something, or whether you want to bite off this now or wait 2 years or something. Your experience and your knowledge there, I bet, has been invaluable to some people.
Well, we get creative sometimes, and you go to some neighborhoods and I don't even want to generalize it with a neighborhood, but you have some people that just don't have the same budget as other people. They don't have an insurance claim to work off of. Back in the old days when you used to have a leaky roof, you just fix it yourself, and now you just file an insurance claim is what it's come to. And but now, I over the years I've gone to people and they say, well, I just don't know what to do. I can't afford $8,000 for a roof. I say, can you afford $4,000 for the front half? And they're like, what do you mean? I was like, we could do the front half of this roof and go 2 shingles over to the next side. We could put your ridge vent on and nobody could see the front and the back at the same time, unless they're in a helicopter. So why don't you just put the front on? It looks like you've got a new roof. And then in 3 years later, you budget for that back, and then we'll come back and do the back, and they'll put it on a credit card, or, if they had to, or they borrow it from a family member or go get it out of, their 401k, and they can afford to do that, and we've had to get creative over the years to get people, back to where they needed to be.
Oh, well, that's another good one. Well, we've got about 3 minutes. What else is on your mind this morning?
Well, you asked about the prison reform initiative that we're working on, and I've met with a couple of legislators, and we hope to go, now that the legislative session is going for this year, it will go probably till, I'm guessing, April or May. I don't know. I'm a roofer, not a legislator, but I guess that's generally how long it typically will go. And towards the end of that, I want to meet with the government operations subcommittee, and they're the ones that either renew or don't renew the core civic contract. And so we've got a contract coming up for renewal in June 30th of 2026. And I just want to kind of get on the radar and kind of share with them some of the ins and outs of what's going on in that facility and what has gone on since 2016, because a lot of times they they say, well, if it's not burning to the ground, it must be working, and that's kind of the litmus test, which is a low bar. And so I'm going to hopefully speak to them and kind of share with them my experience, but also hopefully I can, warn them and show them, some different analytics between the Tennessee Department of Corrections prisons and a core civic prison, because they're vastly different.
What would be the bottom line end result that you would want to happen there?
Well, I would love for them to not reinstitute that contract, and I would love for them to have the TDOC take that prison back over on July 1st of 2026, lease it back from Core Civic, and put their own personnel in there and begin to run it like it should be run. I would like for them to, at the very minimum, lower it to a low security prison instead of a medium security prison. You have the highest chance of being killed in a medium security prison, even more than a high security prison, because that's where everybody filters into. And so I would love for that to see them, at the very least, filter it down to medium security and segregate the gangs out of there. Get the gangs out. The gangs are extorting. There's atrocities that you don't even want to talk about on the radio that happen in that place, and they're real. Just because we don't talk about them at dinner parties doesn't mean they don't happen. And so it's very difficult to know what goes on, and then to just watch them get contract renewals one after the other. It's honestly make you sick at your stomach.
All right. Well, we'll continue to mention this on your visits, and thanks for being with us today. Our time is up. Good to see you. Have a good one. Stay safe, stay warm, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks. All right. Tim Leeper Roofing. Give him a call, 615-372-4713. And join us tomorrow for Coleman & Company. Till then, I wish you a terrific day.